It is a Saturday morning in late April, and a female blue jay is working the edge of a dogwood shrub at the far corner of a yard, 2 streets from yours. She is not eating the berries. It is spring, and there are no berries yet, just unfurling leaves, and the small white blossoms opening in the early warmth. She is hunting. Her head moves in sharp, deliberate arcs, pausing at specific positions before redirecting, a behavior that looks almost mechanical from a distance, but is actually one of the most sophisticated predatory routines in the backyard bird world. She is looking for caterpillars, and she is finding them, pulling one from beneath a leaf, swallowing it, moving immediately to the next branch. In the nest 50 yards away, somewhere in the dense canopy of a mature oak, there are chicks less than a week old, whose survival depends entirely on how many of these trips she and her mate can make before evening. Your yard, less than 200 feet from where she is hunting, has a feeder full of sunflower seeds and a freshly cleaned bird bath. She will not come to either of them today. She has not come to your yard in weeks, and she will not come back until late summer, when the nutritional logic of her world shifts again. The reason has nothing to do with the quality of your seeds or the cleanliness of your water. It has to do with something invisible, a consequence of a decision you probably made without thinking about it at all. Your lawn was treated with a broadleaf herbicide in March. Your rose bushes got a systemic pesticide in early April. The aphids on your ornamental shrubs got sprayed last week. And the result of those 3 routine, unremarkable applications is that the insect community in your yard has been reduced to a fraction of what it would otherwise be during the most protein-dependent weeks of a blue jay's entire annual cycle. This is the hidden ecological cost that almost nobody talks about when they discuss attracting blue jays, and understanding it requires understanding something fundamental about what blue jays actually eat, because the common picture most people carry of this bird is wrong in a specific and important way. The popular understanding goes something like this: blue jays eat seeds and nuts, especially acorns, and if you put out the right seeds in the right feeder, they will come. That picture is accurate for autumn and winter. It is almost completely inaccurate for spring and early summer, which are the months when nesting and raising young defines every behavioral decision the adult birds make. A blue jay nestling grows at a rate that is genuinely remarkable. In the wild, young corvids develop from blind, nearly featherless hatchlings to fully feathered, functionally independent birds in roughly 3 to 4 weeks. That rate of growth requires an enormous and sustained input of high-quality protein, specifically the kind of amino acid-rich animal matter that can only be provided by insects and other invertebrates. Seeds, even calorie-dense oil seeds like sunflower, simply do not contain the protein profile that supports this kind of rapid tissue development. A nest full of blue jay chicks being fed only seeds would not survive. The adults know this at a level that precedes any individual learning. It is embedded in their seasonal behavior as deeply as the caching drive of autumn, and it shapes every foraging decision they make from the time the eggs hatch until the chicks are capable of finding food on their own. The specific insects blue jay parents prioritize are caterpillars first, followed by large beetles, grasshoppers, and other soft-bodied arthropods. Caterpillars are ideal because they are protein-dense, easy to carry in the bill without escape risk, and can be consumed by young chicks without requiring any hard surface processing. A single caterpillar hunting trip can deliver a meaningful amount of protein to the nest in a few minutes of foraging, which is why adult blue jays during nesting season will hunt the same productive patch of vegetation repeatedly throughout a single day, returning to it as long as it continues to yield prey. The spatial memory that makes corvids exceptional foragers in autumn, when they track the locations of thousands of cached food items across miles of territory, serves the same function in spring, when they are tracking the locations of productive hunting grounds with the same precision. A blue jay that found caterpillars on the east side of a neighbor's oak last Tuesday will return to that oak on Thursday, with the expectation that the caterpillar population has been partially replenished, because that is what a bird with episodic memory and genuine spatial intelligence does. It does not random forage. It manages its hunting territory the way a thoughtful human manages any productive resource, returning at intervals calibrated to allow recovery, extracting what is available, and moving on before the patch is exhausted. A yard or garden that has a dense, healthy caterpillar population during April and May is, from a nesting blue jay's perspective, a gold mine. A yard that has been chemically treated and has essentially no caterpillars is a desert, regardless of what is in the seed feeder. This is the ecological reality that the phrase Amish approved is gesturing toward, even if the phrase itself is a marketing construction rather than a literal description of any specific practice. Traditional Amish and Mennonite farming communities in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Indiana have managed land for generations without the routine application of synthetic pesticides and herbicides, not primarily as a wildlife management strategy, but as a consequence of their broader approach to farming, which relies on biological processes rather than chemical interventions. The result, as a direct ecological consequence of that approach, is land with native insect populations that remain dense, diverse, and functionally intact across all seasons, but especially in spring. Blue jays have adopted these properties as preferred nesting territory, not because of any mystical connection between Amish farming and corvid behavior, but because the land provides what nesting corvids require: a living, productive insect community in the months when insect prey is the only thing that keeps their chicks alive. There is nothing mystical about this, and nothing secret about it. It is a straightforward ecological chain. Chemical treatments reduce insect populations. Reduced insect populations mean reduced prey availability for insectivorous birds during nesting season. Birds capable of assessing prey availability before committing to a nesting territory, and blue jays most certainly are, root around areas where that assessment returns a poor result. They go where the caterpillars are, and they stay there as long as the caterpillars keep coming. The yard 2 streets from yours that has blue jays in late April and May is not better designed or more expensively equipped than yours. It is chemically quieter, and the difference that makes is not subtle. A 2019 review published in the journal Biological Conservation documented that common garden pesticides, including neonicotinoids applied as systemic treatments to ornamental plants, significantly reduce the invertebrate populations available to insectivorous birds in residential areas, with downstream effects on nest productivity and chick survival rates that persist for multiple breeding seasons after application. The birds are not responding to a perceived threat. They are responding to a documented absence of the food they need, an absence that chemical management reliably creates, and that only the cessation of that management, followed by patience, reliably reverses. Now consider what happens when you stop. Not immediately, because ecological systems do not recover in a weekend, but over the course of weeks and then months, and then the following season. The first thing to return when chemical pressure is removed from a yard is soil biology, the microorganisms and small invertebrates in the top inches of soil that support the food web from the bottom up. Earthworms, which are highly sensitive to many common lawn chemicals, begin re-establishing within weeks of treatment cessation. Their presence improves soil aeration and nutrient cycling, which benefits the plants growing above them, including whatever native species you have or introduce. Leaf litter, if left rather than removed, begins supporting populations of beetles and other decomposers that form the middle tiers of the insect food web. Moths begin laying eggs in native plants, and the caterpillars that hatch from those eggs begin feeding on leaves that are no longer coated in residual systemic insecticides. The process is not linear, and it is not dramatic. It happens quietly, in the soil and under leaves, and it takes time. But it happens, and the birds notice before most people do. A blue jay flying its daily territorial patrol is not simply looking for visible food sources. It is reading the ecological quality of the landscape below, with sensory systems calibrated by millions of years of evolution to detect exactly the kind of productivity signal that a recovering native insect community produces. The movement of insects on plant surfaces, the acoustic signature of a biologically active garden versus the silence of a chemically suppressed one. The structural complexity of vegetation that has been allowed to develop without constant chemical management, which creates the layered, varied texture that supports the widest diversity of insect niches. These are the signals a blue jay is weighing when it evaluates whether your yard is worth adding to its map, and they are signals that no feeder or bird bath can manufacture on its own. A feeder provides food, a bird bath provides water, but neither of them provides a living system, and a living system is what a nesting corvid is looking for when it evaluates potential territory in spring. The distinction matters because it changes the entire framing of what backyard birding is actually about. Products attract visitors, ecology attracts residents. Sunflowers and other native flowering plants accelerate this recovery process when they are included, and they do it for a specific reason that most backyard birding advice misses entirely. Native plant species, including thick-stemmed native sunflowers and the various native asters, goldenrods, and coneflowers that thrive in typical American garden conditions, have co-evolved with local insect communities over thousands of years. Native caterpillar species are often highly specific in the plant species they can feed on, with many moth and butterfly larvae able to develop only on a narrow range of native host plants. An ornamental garden full of non-native species may look lush and productive, but offer almost nothing for the caterpillar communities that nesting blue jays depend on. A yard that includes even a modest border of native species, alongside the cessation of pesticide use, will develop a caterpillar population noticeably faster than a yard with chemicals removed, but non-native ornamentals maintained unchanged. The visual impact of this shift is something many homeowners notice before they understand the ecological reason for it. A garden that has been managed without pesticides for a season or two will often show evidence of insect activity that a chemically managed garden does not. Leaf damage from caterpillar feeding, galls on stems, the presence of beneficial insects like parasitic wasps and ground beetles that prey on pest species, and that pesticide use had previously eliminated along with the pest populations. These signs are not evidence of a garden going wrong. They are evidence of a food web coming back, and to a blue jay flying overhead, they are the visual and acoustic signature of a yard that has protein to offer. Move through spring and into early summer, and the shift in blue jay behavior becomes observable at a practical level. Pairs that have established nesting territory nearby begin making regular passes through yards with recovering insect communities, hunting the vegetation systematically in the same way the female in the opening scene was hunting the dogwood. They learn which plants in which yards consistently yield caterpillars. They return to those plants repeatedly within a single day, and they return to the same yard on consecutive days across the nesting season as long as the prey is there. By midsummer, when the chicks have fledged and the family group begins ranging more widely together, the adults continue incorporating familiar productive foraging locations into their daily circuit out of learned habit and territorial familiarity. And when autumn arrives and the nutritional logic shifts back to seeds and hard mast, those same locations are already on the map. This is how a yard transitions from a place a blue jay might pass through to a place it treats as genuine territory, not through a single dramatic change, but through the accumulation of reliable positive experiences across multiple seasons. A spring with caterpillars, a summer with continued insect activity, an autumn with stable feeding surfaces and appropriate food, a winter with persistent berry-producing shrubs, and through all of it, the quiet acoustic beacon of a moving water source that broadcasts the yard's presence to birds, flying their daily circuits at heights where visual details disappear. Each of these elements reinforces the others. None of them operates in isolation, and the foundation of all of them, the condition without which the other investments become significantly less effective, is the basic ecological vitality of the living system beneath the surface, the one that chemical management has been quietly undermining every season it has been applied. The practical path forward is not complicated, but it does require accepting that ecological recovery moves on a timeline that human patience sometimes struggles with. Stop the chemical treatments, and the soil begins recovering within weeks. Introduce native plants, where non-native ornamentals currently dominate, even partially, even gradually, and the caterpillar community begins establishing within a season. Allow leaf litter to remain in some areas, rather than raking the yard to bare ground every autumn. because leaf litter is where a significant portion of the overwintering insect life that fuels the following spring's caterpillar population completes its life cycle. These are not dramatic or expensive interventions. They are decisions to stop doing specific things and to allow the biological processes that were there before the chemicals to reassert themselves. The blue jays in your neighborhood are already performing this ecological assessment of every yard in their territory, every day, on every foraging pass. They know which yards have caterpillars and which ones do not. Give them a reason to update their assessment of yours, and they will update it, not because of any secret or formula or trick associated with any particular cultural tradition, but because the ecology of your yard will have changed in a way that their biology is specifically calibrated to recognize and reward with their presence. The female hunting the dogwood 2 streets over will come to your yard eventually, when the leaves on your native plants carry the caterpillars her chicks need. The question is only how long that takes, and that answer is almost entirely within your control. If this kind of ecology first look at backyard bird behavior is what you come here for, let us know in the comments which species, plant, or practice you want explored next. And if this changed how you think about what is actually happening in your yard at a chemical and biological level, give the video a like and subscribe, because there is a lot more of this kind of content on the way.